Naruto opened a pet shop in the ninja world. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26 Qing signs the contract. There seems to be another force lurking in your body. Jiraiya said so, but Qing himself didn't feel anything. He closed his eyes and concentrated on feeling it. No, I don't feel anything. Jiraiya felt a little guilty. I'm sorry, but I can't help you with this because I don't know what it is specifically about. My own business. The teacher's ability to tell me has helped me a lot. I don't know whether it is good or bad. If you think it has an impact on your body, I can help you seal it if you need it. Zilla is also very good at the 5 elements seal. Thank you, but since it exists, there must be a reason. We will eventually figure it out. Qing thought it didn't need to be sealed. He had a good feeling. His intuition told him that it would be harmless to him after knowing that his recent condition might be caused by this unknown force. Qing inexplicably relaxed. You're right. Jiraiya felt that he admired this child more and more, and he also why Minato gave him to him. You have already learned the basic ninja skills very well. Today I will mainly teach you the summoning technique. Jiraiya released the seals very quickly, and with a bang, a toad as big as a hill understood in front of Qing. Hey, little Jiraiya. The toad was red all over, wearing an open yukata with a white belt around his waist. He looked at the peaceful surroundings, and then he knelt down and looked directly at Jiraiya in front of him. It doesn't look like there are any enemies. Did you call me out for a drink? Ha, let's drink next time. Today I want to introduce you to a child. Jiraiya pushed Qing in front of Gamabunta. This is my new disciple. Looked at Qing in front of him and felt an inexplicable liking for him. Boy, do you want to sign a contract with a Nabukuzen toad? Qing. Summoning beasts are inherently sensitive to chakra, and this is the first time Gamabunta encountered a human's chakra that was not aggressive at all. Jiraiya also brought a contract scroll with him, and the contract signing process went smoothly. Before leaving, Gamabunta said to Qing, I look forward to you summoning me. Qing, holding the contract scroll, still felt a little surreal after when Tai left. Bunta thinks highly of you. He is the candidate for the next boss of Myaboku Mountain. Jiraiya slowed down and taught Qing the seal of the summoning technique. The level of summoned beast you can summon is related to your own chakra. After reading it once, Qing remembered it. Hi, Su, Yu, Shen, Wei, ninjutsu, summoning magic. With his hands placed vertically on the ground, Qing did not see Wentai's figure, nor did he see the tadpoles that Naruto summoned when he first summoned. Failed. Qing was a little confused. But then, Qing felt something fell on his shoulder, and a mature voice sounded in his ears. Chapter 27 Qing's background. When Qing and Jiraiya thought that the summoning technique had failed, an older voice sounded. Are you the child that Wente just mentioned? I didn't expect to meet you so soon. Qing just felt something fell on his shoulder. He turned his head and looked over, and saw the toad with a beard. Oh, I actually summoned you. Jiraiya didn't expect that the first person Qing summoned was the sage Fukasaku, an elder-level figure in Mount Myaboku, and also Jiraiya's teacher. Long time no see, little Jiraiya. You look a lot older. Fukasaku sage, who was standing on Qing's shoulder, greeted Jiraiya and then jumped up and landed on the rock opposite Qing. There was an apologetic look on his face. He had not originally intended to disturb the old man. Senin Fukasaku smiled and nodded, much more polite than the little Jiraiya back then. He looked at Qing and felt the chakra on his body. Senin Fukasaku, who had seen a lot of things, immediately noticed his abnormality. The chakra in your body gives me a very familiar feeling. Beasts, they don't want to fight with the world and just want to live a peaceful life. This idea seems to be engraved in their blood. However, once this capability was discovered, it immediately attracted competition from various countries. And the principle is to destroy it if you can't get it. It was a night of blood moon, and no one in the village survived. This incident caused a stir, but it calmed down after a few years. They were exterminated and forgotten by history and no one mentioned them again. After Shenzuo Shengren finished telling this story, he never mentioned Qing's identity again. After all, it didn't matter whether he was a descendant of that ethnic group or not or no, he already knew it in his mind without having to confirm anything. I'm just telling you a story from the past. Looking at the child in front of him, Senin Fukasaku once again experienced the power of that tribe. It was the first time we met, but I felt such a liking for each other. Just like Bunta, he signed a contract with it just because of this feeling. Innate power that comes from the blood ninja world would be as easy for them as eating and drinking after all. Just one tailed beast can cause a ninja village to bleed heavily. If you need anything, you can summon me at any time. After saying this, Senin Fukasaku went back. Even Jiraiya, who traveled to various regions, heard of this for the first time. I also understood the follow-up that Senin Fukasaku did not finish. This matter must be kept secret. He said to Qing with a serious face, besides you and me, no one else should know about it, even the closest person. Minato cannot be mentioned after all. Even in Konoha, it is not absolutely safe. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28: Qing's Concerns. In a blink of an eye, more than half a year passed, and Qing calculated that Kushina's due date was approaching and prepared to return to the village. Jiraiya originally wanted to go back with him, but he received a new secret mission. It's quite strange to be separated all of a sudden after living together day and night for several months. Before parting, Jiraiya ruffled Qing's hair and said, "Next time I see you, little Qing." "Yes, thank you for your care during this period." Qing bowed deeply. "You should grow up to be an excellent adult." Jiraiya winked at Qing and left. What Qing didn't know was that Jiraiya had always had a deep misunderstanding about his gender, so sometimes, in certain things, when interacting with Jiraiya, Qing always felt that something was wrong, but he couldn't tell what it was. But there is no doubt that Jiraiya takes good care of himself. The journey back took several days. After hiding his identity, Qing stopped in other towns to see if there were any local specialties that could be used as souvenirs. When Qing saw the crib, he bought it without any hesitation. Plus I was introduced to a bunch of toys. Qing didn't react until she left with a bunch of things. Not to mention that Naruto is not born yet. Even if he is born, he will have to wait until he is 6 months old to be able to play with these toys to a place where there was no one and put all the things into the ceiling scroll. I have to say that such scrolls are really convenient. Qing carried quite a few of them with him, but almost all of them were used to carry luggage. As soon as he returned to the village, Qing ran to the ninja building first. After completing the registration at the door, sensed Qing's presence. He stood up and opened the window with a smile. "Welcome back, Aking." Qing saluted towards Minato after entering the office. "I'm back, Hokage-sama." He pulled out a scroll from his bag, which Jiraiya had asked him to bring back for Minato. Only Minato can open the seal. Over half a year had made Qing become more introverted. Minato knew the contents of the scroll. He put it away and looked at Qing again. "What are your plans next?" Shuman wanted Qing not to care too much about the issue of identity. I don't want to leave the village before my sister-in-law gives birth." The implication was that Minato should not assign him any tasks. Kushina's delivery period is a very important matter to the top leaders of the entire village. Because the seal of the nine-tailed fox will be loosened, but for Qing, there is another more important thing. That day, the Nine Tails would be released by a disguised Uchiha. Obito, Minato and Kushina would sacrifice their lives to seal the Nine Tails again. There would always be many unexpected delays when leaving the village, and Qing was afraid that he would not be able to make it. Qing, who was the first to know about it, wanted to change this situation. "Nothing will happen to your sister-in-law as long as I'm here." Minato felt that Qing was worried about Kushina's tailed beast seal. Qing shook his head. "I'm just worried someone will come to Konoha at this time and unseal the Nine Tails." Minato didn't know why Qing had such concerns. Not to mention that the seal of the Nine Tails is not so easy to be undone. Konoha's defense capabilities have been continuously strengthened after the Third Ninja World War. But Qing's solemn look made Minato think of many possibilities at once. "I will strengthen Konoha's defense during this period of time." Chapter 29: Qing's Sleep. With Minato's assurance, Qing felt a little relieved. By making preparations in advance, the damage to the village can be minimized after the incident. Qing returned home and found that the house was still spotless after being away for more than half a year. It was not difficult to guess that it was Schumann who had someone come to clean the house on time. After taking a bath, I laid down on my little bed and felt completely relaxed. The rooms in the B&B are very comfortable, but no matter how comfortable they are not as comfortable as your own home. Qing has been very popular in the village in recent years, both among the villagers and among the ninjas. So when he came back, the news had already spread. Qing woke up from a nap and found that it was already the third morning. Even after sleeping for such a long time, Qing didn't feel his head was heavy. The rest made him feel refreshed. What he had to do today, buy groceries, and then go to Brother Schumann's house to give him a gift. After putting the scroll containing the sealed thing into his bag, Qing went out. The boy was walking on the streets of Konoha, Zio. Qing only slept for 2 days this time. It's really rare. Qing stopped and said, "Uncle Sano, please stop making fun of me. Where are we going?" Long mission. At first, after the Ninja World War ended, Qing slept for several days. Everyone was worried that something was wrong with his health, so they specially asked Lady Tsunade, who was away, to come back and check on him. After a thorough examination, Tsunade concluded, "This kid is healthy, he just fell asleep." "I just fell asleep, a very ordinary sleep." That time he slept for a whole week, and when he woke up a week later he was in great physical and mental health. Tsunade also waited for him to wake up and did another physical examination. After confirming that all functions in his body were normal, she was still surprised for a long time. Later, the matter spread. At first, Minato insisted that he go to the hospital for a checkup. After several attempts, he was completely relieved when he found that there was really nothing wrong. When passing by the river, Qing saw a familiar figure. The child sitting on the lawn was with an even younger child, and next to him sat a little girl with admiring eyes. Qing saw the irritation hidden in the child's eyes. Uchiha Itachi. First, after saying this, he walked towards Qing without waiting for the girl to retain her. Qing nodded and smiled at the girl who was looking at them, and when Itachi arrived, the two of them left together. "If you don't like being with her, why don't you just refuse?" Qing spoke after they walked away, the child in Itachi's arms. I found that the baby was also staring at me curiously. "Well, my younger brother, his name is Sasuke." When Itachi called Sasuke, little Sasuke stretched out his hands and responded with a smile. Chapter 30. Qing and Sasuke. Itachi stood beside Qing and consciously wanted to help him share the things in his hands. Qing dodged his hand and said, "You take care of the child, I can do it myself." He looked at Uchiha, who was born not long ago and still in swaddling clothes, and felt curious. Like a girl, Qing put the thing in his hand on the ground, half knelt in front of Itachi, and pointed a finger at little Sasuke. Ho! Little Sasuke laughed and grabbed Qing's fingers. Qing widened her eyes. "He seems to like me very much?" "Well, Sasuke likes you very much?" Itachi nodded in affirmation. Because just now when facing Uchiha Izumi, little Sasuke's face was full of resistance, and he even started crying when she hugged him. "It's an honor." Qing pulled back his finger before little Sasuke was about to put it in his mouth. Qing fumbled in his backpack, pulled out a scroll, and with a bang, a rattle, boom, boom, boom. Qing shook the rattle from side to side, and the sound of the rattle immediately attracted little Sasuke's attention. Little Sasuke stretched out his hands wanting the toy, and Qing wiped the surface with his clothes and put them into little Sasuke's hands. "Is this for Sasuke?" "Well, just consider it a meeting gift." Fortunately, Sasuke likes it very much. Although this was originally intended to be given to the unborn Naruto, it might seem a bit perfunctory to give it to little Sasuke instead, but as long as he doesn't say anything, no one will know, right? "I thank you on behalf of Sasuke." Itachi's mouth corners slightly raised. Itachi really looks like a brother." Qing poked Itachi's chubby cheek and said, "I really envy little Sasuke for having such a gentle brother." Itachi's originally upturned mouth corners fell and he looked at Qing. "If you yell like that again, I will tell the Hokage what you just said." Qing, Minato, is a very gentle man, but he is a bit of a black person. If Minato heard that he envied other people's brothers, the consequence would be that he would let himself feel the love of his brother. Very good, the child has grown up and learned to threaten himself. Qing glared at Itachi, and took advantage of the fact that Itachi was holding Sasuke and had no free hands to sneak attack him. She ruffled Itachi's neatly combed hair and pinched his cheek. Before he could react, he waved goodbye. "See you next time, Itachi." Itachi looked at his back as he ran away and whispered, "Childish." He lowered his head and looked at the little Sasuke in his arms and found that little Sasuke was staring at him curiously. Perhaps because his current appearance was too strange, Sasuke laughed again. "Are you making fun of my brother?" Itachi pursed his lips slightly, stretched out his index finger and gently tapped his brother's forehead. "That's brother Qing. He's a very strange guy." Sasuke tilted his head, obviously not understanding what his brother was saying. "Today, I met Qing, whom I hadn't seen for half a year, and Itachi was unexpectedly in a good mood. Moreover, he could feel that Qing had become even stronger. It seemed that this had allowed him to make a breakthrough. Still can't forget the scene when the village was attacked last year and Qing went home to get something. Before he could reach the shelter, he was attacked by the enemy. Itachi protected him in his arms and used his body to block the attack. To him, I am just a friend's younger brother, right? Why would he do this? Later, as they spent more time together, Itachi sometimes discovered that Qing seemed to be looking at another person through him. Chapter 31 Qing's Changes. Who did Qing see through Uchiha Itachi? It's the future Uchiha Itachi. Whenever Qing thought about the little boy who had grown up under his care, and how he would bear the stigma of killing clan members for the sake of the village and become a traitor, he felt heartbroken. Voice. Qing heard the sound of someone coming down the stairs, and it seemed that she was on the second floor. Qing's heart began to rise as he heard how fast Kushina was going down the stairs. When she opened the door, I couldn't help but say, "Sister-in-law, don't walk up the stairs too fast." The belly of Kushina, who was about to give birth, had become very big, which brought a lot of inconvenience to her daily life. Irritable look made Minato always worried about her. "How come you are the same as your brother?" Kushina puffed up her cheeks. "This is what I hear most recently." Kushina turned aside to let Qing in. "Minato nags like an old man every day. Brother Shuman is nagging because he is worried about you." Qing walked into the house with a smile. The place was still the way he liked it. Adding some children's things into the house makes it look more cozy, and every corner is filled with happiness. I know. Kushina blushed when she thought of Minato. "You woke up very quickly this time. I thought I could see you tomorrow." Kushina sat down on the sofa consciously. Qing took all the things in his hands to the kitchen and sorted them out. Then he took out his own cup and Kushina's cup and poured warm water into them. "Why do you all say that time?" Kushina took it and took a sip with a smile. "Why did you bring so many things again?" Qing looked helpless. He had no choice. After all, he couldn't sleep deeply outside, and being on high alert every day was very exhausting. Only after finishing the task and returning home can I have a good sleep. But if the mission lasts too long, it is easy for the mind to not get enough rest and something bad to happen during the battle. He had mentioned this situation to Lady Tsunade through letters before. But at this time, Tsunade was in no mood to read the letter, even if she saw it, because her lover and brother had passed away one after another. This world is full of crises. Qing feels that perhaps it is because he is not strong enough. A lot of these were given to me by. I can't finish them all by myself. Qing everyone kept some to take home, left some for dinner outside, and put the rest in the refrigerator. That's great. Zhao King is still so popular. Kushina was very happy looking at Qing, who had already integrated into this family. Thinking back to the cautious Qing in the beginning, Kushina seemed to see her former self. Now Qing can treat this place as her second home. She is really happy. HMPH. Kushina suddenly groaned. Qing heard the voice and immediately crossed the kitchen, turned over the table and squatted in front of her. "What's wrong? Where do you feel uncomfortable?" "You're overreacting." Voice. "Huh?" Qing breathed a sigh of relief when he learned that it was just fetal movement. Little Naruto will be able to meet his parents and uncle soon. Kushina held her belly with a happy smile on her face. Chapter 32 Qing's Secret. Looking at Zinneji, whose face was filled with happiness, Qing's heart ached. He said, "Can I touch your belly?" "Sister-in-law, as if he really understood." Little Naruto stopped making trouble. Naruto seems to understand. Zinne suddenly felt a long-lost sense of relief. The closer it gets to the birthing period, the weaker the seal of the nine-tailed fox becomes. Zinneji turned her head to meet Qing's eyes. Qing put his index finger in front of his mouth to signal her not to say anything. After getting the answer, Zinneji widened her eyes and nodded in understanding. In fact, ever since she found out about her pregnancy, there have always been people watching the Namikaze family. There are Anbu arranged by Minato, as well as people arranged by the Konoha high-level officials. They monitored each other, but their only common purpose was to keep an eye on the status of the Nine-Tails. Possessing the power to calm the irritable Nine-Tails is something that cannot be known. Zenju knew that if he possessed such a special power but did not have a strong family background, he would be in danger of death if it were leaked. We are a family, aren't we? Because they are a family, Qing trusts Zenju and also trusts Minato, who has always taken care of him. Qing prepared 3 dishes and a soup for dinner. Shuman had to work overtime today, so Qing packed some food in a lunchbox and would bring it to him later. After putting the crib, stroller and other toys in the scroll in the nursery, Qing said goodbye to Zenju while carrying the lunchbox after finishing all the housework. Today, Qing came to the Hokage building only to deliver food as a family member. He went directly to the office through the main door and down the stairs. I met a lot of acquaintances along the way. Shen's Hongai's family recently had a baby girl, but Qing had no chance to congratulate him. Hey, brother Qing, long time no see. Recently, Yamanaka Inochi's face is full of the silly smile of a silly father. Are you here to bring food to the 4th Hokage? You've worked hard. It's almost time and I'm already preparing to go home after get off work, brother. Hey, long time no see. I will definitely come to congratulate you someday. Qing had learned a lot of sealing techniques from Heiai in the mountains before. Seeing that he had a talent in this area, Yamanaka was willing to teach him. Sometimes, the two of them could even develop new sealing ninjutsu after some communication. Ha, you heard about it so quickly. Hi, my daughter is so adorable. The silly father mode appeared. He saw the clock in the hall, and immediately changed the subject when the time came. Hokage is in the office, there is no one else inside, you can go in directly, see you later. After saying this, the person disappeared in front of Qing. When he arrived at the Hokage's door, he met Narashikoku, who had the word trouble written all over his body. And his family had a son. Chapter 33 Qing and Shui Men. Narashikoku saw Qing and raised his eyelids to look at him. Long time no see, you seem to have become much stronger. Qing smiled and replied, it's been a long time since I last saw brother Lu Jiu. I did have a breakthrough. Narashikoku sighed, you've heard about it, right? I have a boy at home. If it were a girl, I would marry her to you. Qing was helpless. If this is true, when my daughter grows up, I will be an uncle too. Narashikoku has mentioned more than once that he wants Qing to be his son-in-law. He liked Qing when he first saw him. Although he was young, it was not difficult for him to talk to him. Narashikoku liked to communicate with smart people. Troublesome as marrying a daughter-in-law. Shuman had seen Qing walking in from the gate with a lunchbox a long time ago, but he was still waiting for him. I couldn't help but open the office door, and saw Qing surrounded by a bunch of people chatting and asking about his well-being. Don't you guys have anything to do? Minato's eyes fell on his dinner. We are already off duty, Hokage-sama. Yes, it's time to get off work now. Minato looked back at the pile of papers on his desk. Since everyone is so free, then. When he turned around, Qing was the only one standing in front of him. As soon as they heard the word overtime, everyone ran away. Brother Shuman, you should also take a rest. Qing handed over the lunchbox, but had no intention of going into the office. Would you like to come in and sit for a while? Minato took the lunchbox. No, I'm still on vacation. What he meant was that he was afraid of being detained by Minato to work overtime. Minato narrowed his eyes. You've already used up your next 5 years of vacation time in one go. If I remember correctly, I used the leave I saved up before. Qing looked like he was asking, what can you do to me? Minato raised an eyebrow. Then I will use my authority to call you back. Qing said indifferently, then I will complain to my sister-in-law. Driven to another small table, and Qing quickly sorted the documents on the table. The speed was so fast that Minato couldn't help but sigh, acting, why don't you just become my assistant? He envied Qing's working speed. No. Qing refused without thinking, I want to save money to open a store. I'll also pay you a salary here. Qing's dream of opening a store. Their first impression was that it was unexpectedly suitable for Qing. They are even waiting to see when he opens his shop so they can come and support him. Those who have pets can bring their pets with them, and those who don't have pets can borrow pets from friends. I don't like your salary. This is the truth. The higher the level of the ninja mission, the higher the commission. One of the reasons why Qing keeps making himself stronger is to be able to take on high-level missions. I'm very hurt by you doing this. Minato finished his dinner in no time and went back to work after Qing's classification. We started processing the expedited documents, and the speed was indeed much faster. Some less important things can be postponed to tomorrow. After Qing finished his classification, he went back. Before leaving, he did not forget to tell Shumen, "Remember to send me the overtime pay together with a commission for the next mission." Minato. Chapter 34 Qing Shisui Itachi. Qing circled Zinnejiu's approximate delivery date on the calendar. In the following days, I went to Zinnejiu every day. Qing really helped Zinnejiu, whose movements were becoming increasingly inconvenient defensive seal because this was not what he was supposed to do. Qing was very secretive during his daily inspections, and to outsiders it looked like he was just taking a walk. That day he met Shisui, whom he hadn't seen for a long time. He is always busy with family missions and is rarely seen in the village. Also with Shisui is Uchiha Itachi. "Hi." Qing jumped down from the tree and landed in front of them. Shisui noticed and was surprised that Qing didn't make any sound when he landed from such a high place. It's just that Qing's strength has increased after not seeing him for a while. If he hadn't spoken first, they might not have even noticed him falling behind them. As a classmate of Qing, Shisui sometimes feels pressured by his progress. "Long time no see. It's rare that you are free today." Although they hadn't seen each other for a long time, there was no estrangement between them. Shisui smiled bitterly. "Don't make fun of me, I am actually a little envious of you." In fact, Shisui has always envied Qing because he can do whatever he wants. There is no pressure from family. His only direct relative became the Hokage, and even if a bunch of people were watching him, he could handle many things with ease. Qing patted his friend's shoulder comfortingly. "Where are you going? Doesn't Itachi need to take care of him brother today?" Itachi waved away Qing's hand that tried to touch his head. "Brother Shisui is going to teach me shuriken today. The implication is don't disturb them." Itachi knew that Shisui would always choose Qing between him and Qing. "Oh, see you next time, good luck." Qing looked at the time and went back to Shumen's house to collect the quilts. "Don't you want to join? Your shuriken is no worse than mine." Shisui was a little surprised that Qing was not going to participate today. Usually when he trained Itachi, Qing would either give him instructions or just sit beside him and watch. "What are you going to do?" Out of courtesy, Itachi would not really ask other people's questions, but he couldn't help but ask Qing. He knew that Qing had been in the village all this time, with no position assigned to him and no intention of taking on any tasks according to him. He just wanted to take a long vacation and have a good rest. Shisui could understand, but Itachi's words surprised Qing. "I'm going to cook medicinal chicken tonight to nourish my sister-in-law. It will take a long time, so I have to go back early to prepare it." Shisui was a little dazed. He had indeed heard that Qing had been going to the Hokage's house recently to take care of the Hokage's wife, who was about to give birth. As the one who was taken care of in daily life, Shisui's admiration for Qing increased to a new level. "I have known you for so long and I have never eaten the food you cooked." "Really?" Qing thought for a moment, and it seemed that there had never been such an opportunity. "Then I'll treat you to a meal sometime." Qing looked at Itachi and said, "Itachi, come along when you are free." Itachi did not dodge Qing's hand again, raised his face and asked him, "When can I make chocolate? The materials are not complete yet, please wait a little longer." Talking to Shisui for a few words, Qing left without wasting any more time. Itachi looked up at Shisui beside him and Shisui looked at Qing's leaving back with an unconcealable smile and some emotions in his eyes that he couldn't understand. When he could no longer see Qing, he said, "Let's go." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 Qing's Premonition. The time circled on the calendar is getting closer. Qing simply moved directly to Shumen's house. "You are such a delight, kid." Home. Thanks to Qing's care for his wife during this period, Shumen was able to concentrate on his work and his efficiency also improved. On the day of moving into the Shumen family's house, Qing bought a lot of food and put it in the refrigerator, enough for the family of 3 to consume for a period of time. "You're exaggerating." Looking at the full refrigerator, Zinnejiu didn't know what to say. "I'm going to avoid going out these days." Qing said seriously. The appearance of this little adult also made Neji laugh. Why do I feel that you are more nervous than the child's father? Neji patted Qing's head and said, I'm already about the battlefield. It's just giving birth to a child. It won't be a problem for me. Qing really stayed at home with Neji without going out of the door. He didn't even deliver Minato's meal to him. However, thanks to Qing's presence, Neji's anxiety has improved during this period. Under Qing's comfort, the nine-tailed fox did not struggle to break free from the seal. Faced with the uncertainty of the nine-tailed fox, how could Neji not worry about accidents? Everything seems to be going well until the day when Neji started to have abdominal pain. The Anbu who had been hiding in the dark suddenly appeared and said, let's take the lady to the delivery room. I'll go too. A bad premonition emerged in Qing's mind. Minato had explained in advance that if Qing wanted to follow, he would allow it directly. As Shinagi cried out in pain, red chakra was also leaking out. The group did not delay any further and carried Neji towards the delivery room. It is called a production room, but in fact it is a sealing room specially prepared for Neji. Doctors and nurses were already waiting inside, and the people outside set up a barrier after Neji arrived. Of course Qing was waiting outside. The heart-wrenching screams one after another made Qing's heart tremble continuously. He was praying that everything would go well. It was not until the loud cry of a baby was heard that everyone felt relieved. Masters at the four corners of the barrier fell to the ground one after another. Qing realized that the barrier had disappeared and instantly came to Neji's side, but it was too late. The medical staff around Shinagi fell to the ground, and Shinagi also fainted while holding little Naruto. The constant leakage of red chakra prevented Qing from getting close. The roar of the nine-tailed fox sounded. Qing wanted to use his strength to appease the nine-tailed fox, but he found that he could not reach where the nine-tailed fox was. He forced himself to calm down, and then he noticed something strange. Qing didn't know when he fell into the illusion. Illusions were not his strong point. When Qing broke the illusion and woke up, the floor of the production room was covered in blood, and Neji and Naruto were gone. Qing felt as if all the blood in his body was frozen. Regardless of the mental exhaustion from trying to undo the illusion, he used both his hands and feet to climb up and ran outside. Chapter 36 Qing's Seal. Please, you must catch up. When the nine-tails chakra suddenly erupted, the sealing teams prepared and the surrounding areas all went out. But the nine-tailed fox was too powerful, and they were able to break free after a short while. The village alarm sounded and the villagers ran towards the shelter in panic. Roar! The roar of the nine-tailed fox resounded, and his anger reached everyone's ears. When Minato and his men arrived, the nine-tails had already destroyed a large area. There were also unusual movements in the barrier at the edge of the village. But Minato had already arranged his men in advance, so he wouldn't be caught off guard. Minato didn't expect that Qing really came right. He gave instructions on strategy and summoned Bunta. Qing ran on the roof at the fastest speed. He saw the nine-tailed fox whose anger had reached its peak with Schumann's five-element sealing technique. Dad, Mom, where are you, Qing heard the voice and looked down, and saw a child who had not yet had time to run to the shelter. Qing looked at the roof he was standing on, which was about to collapse. He couldn't pretend not to see it, so he turned around. When they arrived at Minato and Shinaju's side, the nine-tails had disappeared, but they saw the god of death who was about to take their souls. Qing formed seals and tried to fight against the god of death. It was great to see you at the end. Minato's voice was still so gentle. My dear. Naruto is in your hands. Kushina hung her head. She no longer had the strength to raise her head. Tears and blood dripped onto the ground. I refuse. This is your child, take care of him yourself. Qing cut his own artery with a shuriken and used blood as a medium to perform the sealing technique. Chakra floated in the air, wrapping up Kushina and Minato to form a blood prison. The god of death tried several times but failed to break it. It could not take the life of the caster, nor could it do anything to Qing in front of it. If he leaves this cage, I will come to take his soul. He left this sentence and disappeared. Qing fell to his knees and used his last bit of strength to shrink the blood prison and hide it. He heard the baby crying. Don't cry. Your parents are still alive, you will definitely survive. It seemed like he was comforting Naruto, but also seemed like he was comforting himself. He didn't know if Minato and Kushina would survive. This sealing technique was hidden in his genes and had just awakened. If the seal is released, they will still be the same as before, and it is unknown whether they can be rescued in time when they are on the verge of death. Developed hemophobia, so Qing doesn't dare to gamble until he's 100% sure. Obviously, I have made all the preparations. He was clearly already guarding Kushina's sight. If the nine-tailed fox went berserk, it would be possible to stop it immediately. In the end, he was too weak and didn't even notice when he was hit by the illusion. When Qing was found by Kakashi, he was still tightly protecting the sleeping baby even though he was unconscious. Kakashi looked at the children in his arms, and with a heavy heart, he picked them up horizontally and sent them to the medical team. Chapter 37 Qing and Naruto. In a ward in Konoha's hospital, the blonde boy's face was so pale that it was almost transparent. With his eyes closed, his face was as delicate as a carefully carved doll. The inpatient building is bustling with people and the nurses are busy. But every time I passed by this ward, I would subconsciously look inside. The fourth Hokage, who had just taken office a year ago, and his wife both sacrificed themselves in order to save the village. Everything happened too suddenly, and there was no candidate for Hokage yet, so the only option was for the abdicated Sandaime to return to the position. In the silent night, the boy on the hospital bed's eyelashes trembled slightly and his eyes slowly opened. He pulled a needle out of his hand and stood by the window. Blood dripped from his fingertips onto the ground. Wow, congratulations on breaking your sleep record again. Outside the window, a white-haired ninja was squatting on the eaves with an orange-covered book in his hand. Qing glanced at him and rubbed her empty belly. Have I slept for a long time, Hatake? Kakashi held up 3 fingers. 3 days. Qing felt that his whole body looked a little weak, and it didn't seem like he had only slept for 3 days, 3 months. Kakashi put the novel into his bag and stepped into the ward. The bodies of the teacher and his wife have not been found, but the funeral has been completed. Of course we can't find the bodies because they are still here, but Qing certainly wouldn't say that. However, the silence at this time turned into sorrow in Kakashi's eyes. Kakashi patted the shoulder in front of him in comfort. Where's Naruto? 3 months. Naruto is already 3 months old. Kakashi's face darkened. He is being taken care of in an orphanage. Qing's eyes widened in disbelief. Why is it an orphanage? As long as I'm alive. Naruto is not an orphan. Kakashi put his palms over Qing's eyes. I know you are angry, and I am angry too, but this is a decision made by the top management. Naruto's identity is too sensitive right now. The Nine-Tails knew Jinchuriki. He should have been a heroic figure, but his appearance was too sudden, and the unsuspecting villagers mistook him for the incarnation of the nine-tailed fox. Kakashi visited Naruto in the orphanage. Being locked in an independent room, no one would care even if I woke up or urinated. Only at fixed times will the caregivers come to clean up and leave. There is no love, only anger. I can't do anything. Look, have a good rest. You are also a subject of surveillance now. Qing clenched his fists, thinking of the grown-up Naruto in the original work, who was smaller than his peers and was rejected by the villagers. Even if there are special people to take care of them in the orphanage, how can they be properly cared for? Qing left through the window and ran to the orphanage Kakashi mentioned. As if being sensed, Qing stood outside the window of the room on the top floor. The hoarse cry of the baby in the room became a little faint. He coughed from time to time, and there was no one else in the room except him. Qing's anger flared up again. His hand fell on the window, and a group of people instantly appeared around him and surrounded him. Don't take another step forward. Don't you see that Naruto's condition is not right? Qing frowned, and blue chakra continued to come out. Someone seemed to recognize Qing and signaled everyone to stop. Master Qing, you can go in, but of course you can't take him away. Qing couldn't care about anything else at the moment. He opened the window, stood beside Naruto and picked him up. As if sensing something, the crying child quieted down. Chapter 38 Qing's questioning. The crying baby stopped when he was picked up. She cried so hard and sobbed, looking extremely pitiful. He opened his eyes, and his sky-blue pupils seemed to glow in the moonlight. Little Naruto stretched out his little hands and grasped the air. Qing wiped the tears from little Naruto's face with the back of her hand and placed her palm on his forehead. I felt a little hot, and indeed I had a fever. Qing turned around and left with little Naruto without delay. Master Qing, you can't take him away. Qing was blocked. Qing frowned and disappeared from the spot in an instant flying thunder god technique. For a moment, the Anbu ninja seemed to see the figure of the fourth Hokage. Chase him. The man ran away, and ran away with the person he was monitoring right under their noses. The figures that kept flashing on the eaves broke the tranquility of the night. Qing disappeared too suddenly to or where he would teleport to next. They could only search and stake out from all directions. The team sent one person to report to the third Hokage. When Kakashi heard the noise on the roof, the first person he thought of was Qing would be so impulsive this time. But Kakashi was somewhat surprised by Qing's strength. Naruto didn't know how many people were guarding him, but he could guess that there were definitely quite a few. However, Qing was able to escape with a baby right under the noses of the Anbu guards. His strength must not be underestimated. Kakashi put on his ninja bag, put on his shoes and went out into the night. No matter what Qing wants to do, it is better for him to find Qing earlier than being suppressed by the Anbu. The third Hokage, who is already preparing to go to bed, sighed after hearing the report from his subordinates. He knew Qing a little bit. He was a very good kid, talented but not impetuous. He has a very good reputation both among ninjas and among villagers. Combined with Jiraiya's later evaluation of him, the third Hokage believed that Qing would not do anything to harm the village. So he ordered, "Tell everyone to retreat first. Take responsibility for anything that happens. Besides, that kid won't do anything to harm the village." Yes. After everyone left, the Sandaime looked towards the curtains and asked, "Aren't you ready to come out yet?" "Thank you, Grandpa Sarutobi." Qing walked out from behind the curtains. He was holding a little Naruto who had fallen asleep in his arms. This grandfather's shout really touched the heart of the three generations. "Aren't you afraid of falling into a trap, Grandpa?" "Sarutobi is not that kind of person." Qing shook his head and smiled bitterly. "I also believe that you will not leave Naruto alone." Little Naruto seemed to be sleeping peacefully, but the Sandaime could tell at a glance that something was wrong with him. "When I went there, he was crying in his room and his body was hot." Qing clenched her hands and lifted a corner of the towel wrapped around Naruto. The blue marks on the small and tender skin stung the eyes of the third generation. "Why don't you let everyone know that he is Minato's child?" In order to save the village, Minato resealed the 9 tails into his own child, but he was treated like this. Are you worthy of the Yondaime and his wife? Chapter 39. Qing and Sarutobi. Sarutobi Hiruzen did feel guilty. He sighed deeply. He knew what Qing wanted to do. However, the handover of the Hokage position was too sudden, and there are some things that he cannot decide alone. You can't bring Naruto with you for now, but I promise you that I will replace the caregiver with my own people. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the child in Qing's arms with a complicated expression. I neglected it. I didn't expect everyone to be so angry. Qing really wanted to keep Naruto by his side and take care of him, but there were too many reasons that prevented her from doing so. But at least he wanted to get Naruto what he deserved. Until Naruto comes of age, I am his guardian. Sarutobi Hiruzen understood what Qing meant. You are not yet an adult, but according to the rules, all the assets left by Minato should belong to you. The things that Minato left behind have long been coveted, which is why the top management is unwilling to reveal Naruto's identity. But they ignored Qing's existence, since Qing had come to their door and caused such a big fuss. Sarutobi Hiruzen also had a reason to return everything to them. Qing assisted Minato for a while when he first came to power, and saw many things that gave Minato a headache. Most of the pressure still came from the Konoha high-level officials, and the situation only improved after they built up their own power. Qing fell to the ground, his tense spirit relaxed. He looked at Sarutobi Hiruzen helplessly. Grandpa Sarutobi, what should I do? What to do exactly? Sarutobi didn't answer him. Based on his partial understanding of Qing, he knew that Qing did not need any guidance from him. Then took Naruto from his hands. This time Qing did not dodge again. Sarutobi held her carefully, looking at Naruto with eyes full of love, more like pit girls in Iju. The 9 tails chakra in her body was rioting. Although it has calmed down, some of the 9 tails chakra still remains. The chakra riot led by them is not so easy to quell. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at Qing again, with inquiry in his eyes. Naruto is still too young. If this happens 2 more times, he will be useless. Qing let him look at him frankly. As long as he didn't say anything and didn't admit it, he believed that the third generation would know the current situation and would not pursue it further. I will try to give you a chance to visit. Sarutobi Hiruzen thought of something and felt a little surprised. This is indeed something that cannot be exposed. Sarutobi Hiruzen looked at the boy in front of him seriously. Qing, do you want to be Hokage? No. Qing refused without any hesitation. I don't want to now, and I don't want to in the future. Sarutobi Hiruzen didn't expect that he would refuse so thoroughly. Why? He knew that Qing had been practicing hard in order to become stronger, but he seemed to have no idea what his reasons and motivations were for becoming stronger. I want to open a pet shop. Ninja. Sarutobi Hiruzen raised his eyebrows. Of course it's for the scope of business and to face the summoning beasts of the ninjas. And when I first traveled through time, I learned ninjutsu mainly because of the ninja dream of every Hokage boy. Of course this cannot be said. Chapter 40 Qing's follow-up. Qing's expression was serious and his tone was solemn, and he didn't seem to be lying. Permission, thank you, Grandpa Sarutobi. In fact, Qing wanted to take Naruto back to his own home, or back to Minato's home, but Naruto had been running around outside for quite a while, so resting here was the best arrangement. Qing, who had been lying down for a long time, didn't feel like sleeping at all. He looked closely at the sleeping little Naruto, perhaps because he knew there was someone by his side. Little Naruto slept particularly soundly. The little face was red, and because the nine tails was sealed, there were 3 whisker-like marks on both cheeks. She does look more like sister-in-law Kushina. He lay on his side and gently held little Naruto in his arms. I will do my best to protect you and will never let you be alone again in this life. Qing, who is already an adult mentally, certainly does not have any pressure in raising children, gathered in the Hokage's office in the Hokage building early in the morning. A group of very old people. Naruto has been placed in an orphanage to be taken care of, and Qing was standing in the middle. Even if the third Hokage was responsible for this matter, he should at least give an explanation. We can't just let this matter go. Danzo narrowed his eyes and looked at Qing, who was standing in the middle. In his eyes, this young man was just like an ant. But there is a bit of the shadow of the fourth Hokage on him, which is really annoying. As Naruto's last relative, I think Qing's behavior is excusable. The third generation side, they are the only descendants of the Namikaze family left. The Namikaze clan has made contributions to Konoha for generations, and Minato has become the Hokage, so he has a certain prestige without permission. If we hold him responsible for such a small matter, wouldn't that be too cold-blooded and ruthless? Most of the other elderly people were convinced and nodded in agreement. Danzo really had nothing to say about this, and as Sarutobi played the emotional card and didn't mention the nine tails at all, he could only grit his teeth. Qing did do something wrong. He will accept the punishment and follow the arrangements of Lord Hokage. Qing bowed his head and knee on one knee. Qing had already said so, so there was no way for Danzo to pursue the matter further. Now that you've said that, I'll consider the punishment. Sarutobi nodded. Since all the elders are here, there is one more thing I need to discuss with everyone. What's up regarding the inheritance of the fourth Hokage, Minato Namikaze? Sarutobi looked at Qing. Qing, I believe, knows the relationship between him and Minato. All of Minato's assets will be inherited by Qing and Naruto. Before Naruto comes of age, his share will also be managed by Qing. When Sarutobi mentioned this, Danzo stood up and said, Hokage, since you have already made the decision, why discuss it? Then he slammed the door and left. If Qing had not existed, Naruto would be the only successor to Minato, but who would care about Naruto, who is still a baby and knows nothing? Chapter 41 Qing's mission. Danzo left, and the old men, led by him, looked at each other in confusion, not knowing whether to leave or not. Among so many people, only Danzo dared not to maintain superficial relationships. The third Hokage also took the opportunity when Danzo left to tell him directly that Qing allowed Naruto to visit him one day a week, and not having had good rest, Qing's face was pale, and he looked even more transparent standing in the sunlight. Many people had already heard about Qing's actions last night, and all the major families were paying attention to the actions of this talented young man. Just because he was still young, he learned the true skills of the fourth generation's Golden Flash Flying Thunder Godspeed. It is not clear whether he will become the second Golden Flash of Konoha in the future. His every move after coming out of the Hokage building was watched closely. The fact that he was able to walk out and move freely alone showed that the third Hokage did not hold him responsible. Uchiha main house, you mean he can move freely and there's no one watching him? Uchiha Fugaku, the current patriarch of the Uchiha family, put his hands behind his back and snorted coldly. I remember that Shisui and you both had contact with him. Yes, father, brother Shisui graduated with him. Uchiha Itachi straightened his back and knelt behind his father. Thinking of Qing, The image of the young man lying on the hospital bed involuntarily emerged in his mind. Keeping contact with him, Itachi resisted subconsciously. The only person Shisui didn't want to have any other intentions towards was Qing. Qing calculated his assets and found that with this little money, it was not enough to open a store, let alone raise Naruto. The things that Minato left behind belonged to Naruto, and he would keep them for Naruto and not touch them. In the afternoon, Qing stood outside the window and checked on Naruto's condition perfunctory. Qing knew that this was already the best situation. Before the sun set, Qing returned to the Hokage building. Third generation master, I am here to receive the mission. In fact, no one knows the exact extent of Qing's strength. After all, he is still just a Jinan. Do you want to go alone or join another team? Qing woke up at the right time as they were short of manpower recently. I want to be alone if possible. For so long, the only one who could keep up with my pace was Shisui. He felt that he didn't have the extra time to get along with others. There are several tasks here that are indeed suitable for you. Just treat them as the punishment I mentioned before. Sarutobi handed 10 task scrolls to Qing. Wait for your return, all. Qing held 10 scrolls in both hands, all of it. This is the mission funds. Sarutobi placed a heavy bag of money on top of Qing. Go back and prepare well in the next 2 days, and set off as soon as possible. Yes, Hokage-sama. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42 Qing's Best Friend. Qing didn't have much luggage to pack. He always puts the necessities for missions in storage scrolls that he has prepared long ago. Then, after categorizing and sorting a bunch of scrolls, put them all together in another higher-level scroll, which can reduce the baggage on your body. In fact, under normal circumstances, other ninjas would travel light when on a mission, and they would only carry the weapons needed for combat. Qing would not bring so many things for a short-term mission, but he took a quick look at the content of the mission. I won't be able to return to the village in a short time. I don't know if the third generation did it on purpose. After all, he had just promised Qing that he could visit Naruto once a week. But right now, he may not be able to return within a year. It feels like being exiled to the frontier. After all, this was a mission with a punishment. Naruto's identity was too sensitive in Konoha, and Qing was able to kidnap Naruto in front of the Anbu despite the obstruction. Qing understood that the third generation was protecting himself by asking him to temporarily leave the village in the name of a punishment mission. Come to think of it, I haven't seen Shisui for a long time. Having slept for such a long time, Qing knew that Shisui must be worried about him. But he hadn't seen Shisui all day today, so he probably wasn't in the village. All the luggage needed for the mission was packed in one night. The next morning, Qing paid a visit to the Uchiha clan. However, he was told that Shisui was not at home. Having joined the Konoha guard, Shisui did not have much free time, but he could sense that Shisui was in it. As for why he didn't want to see him and said he wasn't at home, Qing guessed several reasons. Please tell Shisui that I'm waiting for him there. This trip out of the village would take a long time to come back, and Qing always felt that he would regret it if he couldn't see Shisui. Okay, Master Qi, I will convey the truth to Master Shisui. Qing left only after the servant agreed. After buying a bunch of things on the street, I ran to the back mountain. After all, he is the only close friend and Qing values him very much. Uchiha house. After Qing left, the servant closed the door and he returned to the house. Shisui, who was supposed to be not at home, was sitting in the reception room. I have already said what the young master told me to do. Well, thank you. He would wait for you there. I understand. Thank you for your hard work. After the servants left, Shisui stood up and paced around the reception room anxiously. To go or not to go? Intellectually, Shisui told him that it would be best to avoid meeting Qing during this period of time. But what if Qing has been waiting there? The sun set, night fell, and Shisui could no longer endure it and walked out of the Uchiha household. He was feeling nervous on the way there, hoping that Qing would not be able to wait for him and would have gone back, but also hoping to see Qing. But if Qing was still here, what would he say when he saw her? When they arrived at the place behind the mountain, that was the place they came to every day when they first met. Shisui looked at the pile of food under the tree, and his guilt reached its peak. I didn't see Qing, so I felt relieved, but also a little disappointed. It's really not easy to see you now. Chapter 43 Qing's questioning. Shisui looked at the pile of things under the tree. He could imagine how Qing felt when he bought these things, and he could also imagine Qing who had been waiting for him and then gave up on these foods when he didn't get them. Qing never wastes food and has an inexplicable obsession with eating, and Shisui knows that. Maybe he was really angry, so he threw away the food and left alone. When the guilt was about to overwhelm him, Shisui heard Qing's voice. It's so hard to see you now. Qing jumped down from the tree, turned around in the air and landed steadily. You. Why? Qing didn't leave. Shisui didn't know how to describe his feelings at this moment. Why are you waiting? I knew you would come. Qing walked to the small table he had set up, and said with some regret, it's a pity that some of them may not taste good after being left for too long. What? If I don't show up for the appointment today? Shisui pursed his lips, his hands hanging down at his sides, his fists clenched. No one will ever come. I told you I knew you would come. Qing ran errands and sat on the ground, patting the table. Hurry up, I'm starving. In order to wait for Shisui to arrive, he had been resisting the urge to eat secretly. Shisui walked over silently and sat opposite Qing. Shisui knew that Qing knew that he was avoiding him. Are you blaming me for sleeping too long? Qing poured drinks for them. What nonsense are you talking about? Shisui frowned because of this. You did sleep for a long time this time. I was worried about you, Shisui. Did you know what happened to Qing before he was injured and fell into coma, and he was very afraid that Qing would never wake up. He reached out and pinched Qing's cheek. You've been lying down for so long, there's no flesh left. I'll try my best to eat it back, he said as he stuffed a meatball into his mouth. It's cooled down and a bit hard. Shisui, do you want to break up with me? I didn't. Why? Your family doesn't let you play with me. He didn't expect that taking Naruto away would have such a big impact. No, on the contrary. After hesitating, Shisui finally spoke the truth. They asked me to remain friends with you. Shisui knew that with Qing's intelligence, it was not difficult to guess the reason you're avoiding me. Qing widened his eyes and raised his voice in disbelief. The Uchiha parents just want you to continue to maintain a relationship with us. Not to mention that we are close friends, but you're avoiding me instead? Are you an idiot? Uchiha Shisui. Qing leaned forward on both sides of the table to stop the water. Shisui raised his head and saw Qing's face so close to him, and subconsciously leaned back. What are you struggling with? Qing continued to ask, the genius of the Uchiha family. Anger, he stood up and looked directly at Qing. I just don't want our relationship to be mixed with other things. I can dedicate myself to the Uchiha family, but only to you. I don't want you to become a bargaining chip. Qing should be free. He shouldn't be involved in these things. Chapter 44 Qing's affirmation. Some gossip about the Nine Tails rampage has already reached the ears of the Uchiha. The relationship between Konoha and Uchiha has begun to show signs of rift. The Uchiha's pride will not be allowed to be trampled upon. Shisui could predict that it was only a matter of time before the Uchiha and Konoha would become enemies. Was Qing. I don't mind. Qing said firmly. But I mind. Shisui was a little out of control at this time. No matter how powerful he is, Shisui is still just a child under 12 years old. Even Shisui, who is known as a genius, has times when he feels confused and at a loss. Nothing to do with Uchiha. Even if you become Hyuga Shisui, our relationship will not be affected in any way. The body temperature transmitted through the clothes calmed Shisui down. What? I don't have the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan. Qing's words woke Shisui up, and he realized that he was indeed being too stubborn. Qing patted Shishui's back and released his hand. Let's sit down and have a good chat before dawn. We haven't relaxed and chatted like this for a long time. The two young boys should have still been studying in school, but they graduated early because of their outstanding abilities. Later, because of the coming of war, he went to the battlefield early. Qing talked about the interesting things that happened when he and Jiraiya went out for training. Shisui told Qing about the restoration of Konoha in the month since he fell into coma. Fourth Hokage, Shisui looked at Qing with some concern. Are you okay? The Yondaime and his wife were Qing's only relatives, but now they are both dead, so Qing wanted to snatch away Naruto, who sealed the Nine Tails despite any obstruction. What? Qing didn't react at first to what Shisui was referring to. After all, in his eyes, Minato and Shinichi were not dead yet. It's okay. What are your plans next? Shisui changed the subject. Yes, the main reason I wanted to see you today is to talk to you about this. Because he had been waiting for too long and had just faced Shisui's gaffe, Qing almost forgot. Knowing that Qing almost forgot something important, Shisui was speechless. After all, it might be his responsibility that he forgot. The punishment for the mistake made 2 days ago has arrived. After taking a sip of soda, Qing continued to talk about the mission under Shisui's gaze. Has assigned me 10 personal missions, and I won't be back in a short time. Qing scratched his hair in distress. When do we set off? As smart as Shisui was, he immediately guessed the Sandame's intention. Push Qing away and fade out of everyone's sight for a short period of time. He believed that these 10 tasks must be of high quality. We'll set off tomorrow night. There's something more important to tell you. It seems like you're the only person I can ask for help, Shisui. Qing said with a pleading look. Because he was asking someone to do something, Qing subconsciously softened his tone. What is it? Shisui said seriously, I will help you as long as I can. This was the first time Qing asked him for help in all the time they had known each other. It's like this, can you visit Naruto on my behalf when you are free? Just make sure he is in good health. Chapter 45 Qing leaves the village. I originally thought that what Qing asked for would be a very difficult task. Maybe Shisui couldn't get close to Naruto, but he could still observe his situation from a distance. Okay, I promise you. Shisui raised the corner of his mouth and patted his chest. I'm here to make sure Naruto is healthy when you come back. So reliable, Qing flattered. Until white clouds gradually began to appear on the horizon, Qing and Shisui stood on the top of the tallest tree and watched the sun rise. Let's compete again after I come back. Under the shining of the sunrise, Qing's light golden hair became even brighter. He clenched his fist and raised his hand as the sun rose. The boy looked extremely dazzling bathed in the sunlight. I'll be waiting for you to come back. Hokage building the Sandame went over the order of the tasks and precautions with him. He then arranged for a medical ninja to give Qing a full physical examination, and only felt relieved after confirming that his injuries had completely healed. Wait for your safe return. The third Hokage patted Qing's shoulder. Qing agreed with a smile. After nightfall, Qing walked out of the gate of Konoha under the gaze of everyone, had followed him for a distance. After confirming the other party's identity, Qing smiled at the little crow and said, You have been with me all the way. Are you going to send me away from the fire country? The little crow tilted its head and then tidied its feathers, looking like an ordinary crow. Thank you for coming to see me off. I'm very happy. It's sparingly, Qing waved to the little crow and disappeared on the spot. The little crow, who was pretending to be an ordinary bird, saw the man suddenly disappear. It flapped its wings and tried to chase him, but found that it could no longer sense the man's presence. It had no choice but to fly and land in front of the small bag, looked at it curiously for a few times, and then flew back with the small bag in its mouth windowsill on the second floor, put what it was holding on the table, and then disappeared with a bang. Then the door was pushed open, and a black-haired boy stood in front of the table and untied the bag that faintly smelled of milk. The white toffee melted in his mouth, and the rich ethnic milk flavor made Uchiha's eyes widen slightly. On the other side, Qing had just stepped out of the border of the Fire Nation. The group of people behind him could no longer hold back and showed their heads. Every move hits the vital point. Qing didn't want to waste time here. 2 small whirlpools appeared under his feet, and in the blink of an eye he had created a long distance between himself and the assassin behind him. The ninja who was chasing Qing gave up after chasing for a distance. Even if he tried to catch up with him at the fastest speed, he would still be left far behind. The ones who were fast caught up with him but were not strong enough and kept failing. Helpless, he could only give up the pursuit temporarily. After getting rid of the people behind him, Qing did not stop taking advantage of the night. He ran directly towards the first mission destination. When he reached the border of another country, Qing found a small town without a ninja village to settle down. Qing changed into an ordinary backpack and put away his ninja sword protector shortly after leaving the land of fire. At this moment, he looked like just an ordinary traveler. Chapter 46 Qing's 3 years. Konoha's golden flash Minato Namikaze is so powerful that all the major ninja villages are afraid of him. The hostile ninja villages of Konoha all cheered for his death in battle. But they didn't have long to be happy. Because in the past 3 years, the second generation of Golden Flash appeared in Konoha and Golden Flash was mentioned, many people gasped. Because he is just a boy under 14 years old. At first, no one knew which ninja village he belonged to, but as ninjas from Konoha's rival villages were frequently ambushed, all the blame was directed at Konoha. The strength of Konoha is unquestionable, and the soil and climate of Konoha, which is envied by other villages, has really nurtured many geniuses who are capable of making waves in the ninja world. 3 years, the second generation of Golden Flash traveled to every corner of this continent and stole a lot of information, which made Konoha's hostile ninja villages hate him very much. Even several ninja villages jointly paid a huge sum of money to offer a bounty underground and put him on a wanted list. We should break them off quickly before his wings fully grow. Qing didn't expect that this trip would last for 3 years. A task that he had thought could be completed in a year at most had lasted so long. The main thing is that every time he stops at an inn in various places in Konoha, there will always be new tasks assigned to him. At first Qing thought it was nothing, after all it was on the way, but if there is one, there will be two, and if there is two, there will be thousands and millions. So time was dragged on for 3 years. God, have become more delicate. The curve of her face is as hard as a man's, nor as soft as a woman's, but it creates neither a different flavor in between the two. This face is so iconic that people can remember it at a glance. This is not a good thing for ninjas. When Qing thought of the mask that Kakashi never took off, she suddenly understood him, so I followed his example and put on a mask, and used special hair dye to change my hair color. A lot of trouble. The same mask covering half of the face, the same ninja from Konoha. The bounty hunter took action when he encountered Kakashi with this trait. Because Qing's speed was so fast, the reward information did not have more features. Qing looked at the Konoha ninja in front of him, who was smiling and handing over the mission scroll with both hands. Silence, fists hardened, want to strike. This ninja from the same village was an old acquaintance of Qing, and most of the mission handover contacts during this period were done with him. I refuse. This time Qing turned around and prepared to leave without any hesitation. Sarutobi Hiruzen probably predicted that Qing would have such a reaction, so he took the lead in saying something. Hokage-sama said that this is the last one. After the mission is completed, Master Qi can be given a long vacation and the punishment is completely over. The ninja from the same village said quickly before Qing left. The punishment is over. And a long holiday. Seeing Qing stopped, the man continued. Hokage-sama said that Qing can go anywhere in the village during the holidays and do whatever he wants as long as it is not out of line. Qing moved his ears, turned around and held a scroll in his hand. I hope Lord Hokage will keep his word. Chapter 47 Qing and the Civet Cat. Qing returned to his place and opened the scroll of the new task. Simply put, it means delivering a letter to the Kazekage on behalf of the third Hokage was obviously meant for him, and Qing could only sigh helplessly and accept it. Sure enough, I should have saved enough money and quit my job as a ninja earlier. When talking about the Sands village in the Kingdom of Wind, the first thing that came to Qing's mind was that pair of dark circles under the eyes. Qing's last mission after returning to the village is to deliver a letter to the Wind Shadow of the Wind Kingdom as a diplomat. As for the content of the letter, it was not for him to know, but Qing felt that the third Hokage would not betray him with Qing's speed. It would be the evening of the 4th day when they arrived at the Sands village in the Land of Wind. The weather in the Kingdom of Wind is terrible, the border is full of deserts, and a small tornado will occur from time to time, but this is nothing to Qing, who has been to extremely cold places in recent years. He stood in front of the gate of the Sand village, verified it's called a hotel, but it's just a room where you can rest. Mr. Qi, please rest here tonight. I will take you to see Lord Fengying tomorrow. The person who met him seemed to have thought of something before leaving, and he stepped back and specifically said, if you hear any strange noises at night, please ignore them and do not leave this room. Reminder, although it was a rest, Qing in the ninja village of another country couldn't sleep completely peacefully. Sure enough, late at night, Qing heard screams. The windows in this room are not transparent. Coming? The chakra with a strong smell of blood suddenly approached and choked Qing. Afterwards, Qing met a pair of somewhat crazy eyes through the small gap in the window. Suddenly, these words popped up in Qing's mind. A specialty of the Kingdom of Wind, the lively raccoon cat. Qing looked at Shukaku, the one tail, which looked a little childish because the Jinchuriki was still a child cub, looked somewhat ferocious. It sniffed the scent of Qing through the crack in the window. Shukaku had just injured someone and his hands still had red marks on them. Qing took a step back with some disgust, but this frown made Shukaku tremble all over, and it lowered its head, feeling a little at a loss, like a child who had done something wrong. Qing blinked and said silently, "Go to sleep." Shukaku smiled as if he was happy to get a response and jumped to the roof of the building. When the ninjas from the Wind Country caught up with them, they saw the one-tailed Jinchuriki who had fainted. And Shukaku rarely took the opportunity to escape completely. Chapter 48 Qing and Gaara. Shukaku's abnormal behavior made the fourth Kazekage unable to close his eyes the whole night. As soon as it was daybreak, he got himself ready and went to the office. Qing also did not sleep the whole night. The conditions in the Sand Village were limited, and it was obviously not possible to take a shower in this simple room. Purified water for washing is kept in a bucket on the side. Qing wiped himself with a towel without wasting water. Konoha is still the best. The green environment of the Land of Fire is very good, and the living standards of Konoha have also improved accordingly. The most important resource is water, which is never scarce. There is a reason why the surrounding ninja villages are planning to attack Konoha. The weather in Sand Village is unexpectedly good today. At least there was no yellow sand floating in the air. Villagers who enjoyed the rare good weather also came out of their homes, and the streets gradually became lively. The windowsill, and looked down with his face supported by his palms. Suddenly, I met a pair of light green eyes. The red-haired child was standing under his window, looking up at him. His expression was somewhat timid, and he subconsciously dodged when he found his eyes met, but he couldn't help but look up frequently out of curiosity. Qing was a little surprised by Gaara's appearance. He remembered that Gaara had no memory when Shukaku appeared. In fact, Gaara didn't know why he came here. When he woke up today, he looked around in horror, and then he breathed a sigh of relief when he found that everything was safe and sound and the monster in his body did not come out to cause trouble. However, as if being guided, I unknowingly walked here. When I came to my senses, I had already met those gentle eyes. Yes, gentle, those were eyes that were even gentler than Yoshamaru's. How strange, I've never seen it before. Qing looked at Gaara, who still had baby fat, and his hands were ready to move. The cubs are so cute. But his identity is special now, and Gaara's identity is also sensitive. If you approach rashly, it might be considered as malicious. Feeling a little regretful, Qing had to give Gaara downstairs a friendly smile through the window, then waved and closed the window. Although the window was closed, the little child was flattered and his eyes widened as he received kindness from someone other than Yoshamaru for the first time. Her little face flushed and she pursed her lips as she ran home, ready to share the good news with Yoshamaru. When the time was almost up, the receptionist knocked on Qing's door. "Are you up, Master Qi?" "Coming." Qing was sitting on the bed, reading the novel of the famous writer Jiraiya to pass the time. It was already put away when I heard the sound. The sand ninja who assisted half of his face opened the door and kept a friendly distance from him. "Good morning, Mr. Ike. You can call me a taco. Lord Kazekage has prepared breakfast. Please come over and enjoy it together, then. Please lead the way." Qing felt a little uncomfortable at the thought of having dinner at the same table with Feng Ying. And I feel that this letter delivery mission is definitely not just delivering a simple letter. Otherwise, why would the dignified Kazekage entertain an ordinary ninja in such a grand manner? With a nervous mood, Qing, who appeared calm on the surface, was brought to a hall already been set on the long table, and Qing was a little surprised to see two children, a boy and a girl, sitting on both sides. After he came in, the fourth Kazekage walked out from another door. The two children also stood up from their seats at this time. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49 Qing is entertained. There were two girls, a boy and a girl, whose features were so obvious that Qing recognized them as Temri and Kankuro at first sight. Feng Ying explained it this way, taking into consideration that Qing was still young, and in order to prevent him from being too restrained, he called over his son and daughter who were about his age. Qing, who seemed to be quite different in age from the two youngsters, expressed his gratitude politely. But the ones who were reserved now were not Qing, But Temari and Kankuro, after introducing themselves to each other, the breakfast ended in a weird atmosphere. After Qing and Feng Ying left, the two children were obviously relieved. I was really scared to death when I was suddenly called to have breakfast. Little Kankuro, who had not yet started to apply paint on his face, patted his chest. Me too. Temari rubbed her uncomfortable abdomen desk and handed over the letter prepared by the Hokage. After checking that everything was okay, Feng Ying opened it and read its contents in front of Qing. His expression was unfathomable. After the letter was put down, Feng Ying said, "Thank you for your hard work. I will give you the reply letter to take back tomorrow." This means that Qing has to stay in the Sand Village for one more day. Yes. Qing agreed. After a few pleasantries, he was taken away. Outside the Feng Ying building, the two little ones who had just had dinner together were waiting. Kankuro looked a little timid, but Temari, as the eldest princess of the Sand Ninja, spoke first. "Lord Kazekage has instructed that we siblings will receive you today." Qing was still thinking about how to pass the time today. He didn't bother to be polite with the two of them. He smiled and said, "Then I'll trouble you today, Miss Temari, Master Kankuro." Because of the question of address, Temari quickly waved her hand. "No, just call us by our names." My father explained the other party's identity. He was the younger brother of the fourth Hokage of Konoha. In terms of seniority, they are one level lower than the brother and sister. Qing still responded with a smile. During this morning, Qing was taken by the two men to visit the Sand Village. Temari was a very competent tour guide. He introduced Qing to the village streets, special food, and their rich buildings' identities. As the children of Feng Ying, they will be warmly greeted by the villagers wherever they go. This made Qing think of Feng Ying's third son. Obviously, compared to the two of them, Gar looks more like the Kazekage, doesn't he? After a brief 10 seconds of eye contact in the morning, Qing discovered that everyone around Gar deliberately avoided him. A large empty space makes the cub more conspicuous and lonely. In fact, the scenery in the Sand Village is similar, and there are very few places worth sightseeing. But it was soon lunchtime, and the restaurant had already been booked. When passing by the park, Qing subconsciously looked towards the place where he could play with sand. Sure enough, I saw a little figure squatting in the sand and playing with sand alone. As if it had sensed something, the cub stopped and turned its head to look at the other. Temari and Kankuro didn't expect to meet Gaara, and subconsciously showed timid looks. Mr. Chi, my father has already ordered lunch, let's go over there quickly. Because of fear, she even forgot to address Feng Ying during work. Chapter 50 Qing's willfulness. Little Gaara's eyes widened when he saw the three people. He didn't expect to see the gentle big brother today so soon. The two people next to the older brother were people he had seen before. They were the older brother and sister who were previously brought up by their father. Had a mission, he would have run away long ago. Ichi, Master Ichi. Temari lowered her voice and urged in her tone, "Let's go quickly, can't we bring him with us to lunch?" Qing pointed at the red-haired cub who exuded loss and sadness. Father won't let us get close to Gaara." Kankuro was about to cry. "Why not? Isn't he your brother?" Qing pointed frowned slightly. The two young children did not think it was strange that Qing, who was visiting the Sand Village for the first time, knew Gaara's identity. "He is very dangerous." Temari remembered her father's instructions, "Don't get close to Gaara." And she had witnessed it with her own eyes before. Someone threw a stone at Gaara, and then when the stone was about to get close to Gaara, it was blocked by a strange stream of sand. Qing pursed her lips and said nothing. Shovel, tears welling up in his eyes. When Qing was silent, he was actually weighing whether or not it would have an impact on the relationship between Konoha and Tsunagakure if he approached Gaara without permission. This feeling of not being able to do whatever he wanted really annoyed him. But on second thought, Qing thought about Feng Ying's attitude towards him and decided to take a gamble. Work today. Your mission is over. I can do it alone from now on. If Lord Kazekage investigates, I will take responsibility. Qing's words successfully calmed the two of them. After hesitating for a while, Temari decided to stay. Father has said that we will entertain you all day today." As soon as Temari finished speaking, Kankuro was shocked because he was just about to run away. Qing scratched his hair, feeling sorry for the two children because of his momentary willfulness. Then, "Tell me the address and I'll come to you later." He chose a compromise. Temari thought about it and decided that this was an acceptable option. So she told Qing the address of the restaurant and left with Kankuro. Qing was now outside the sand pool, squatting behind Gaara, and said softly, "Hello, my name is Qing, can I meet you?" Stared at by eyes in the dark. Gaara was stunned for a moment, then he stood up and turned around timidly. Gaara. It is, can you take me there? End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.